Many of us have heard Missouri is a leader in job creation in the Midwest. We've heard that the state's labor force is down. We've heard unemployment is doing better here than it is nationally, but at the same time, the state's hemorrhaging jobs. It's left us asking what's really going on. Tonight, we want to give you a broad look at the state economy as you hear the massive numbers this election.
In our busy lives, it can be hard to sit back and soak up what's going on around us.
There could be more jobs.
Other times, it becomes too real.
There's a lot of people out of work, and it looks to me like things are not getting better.
You catch a glimpse of what is seemingly happening.
Helping businesses create jobs.
Trailing every state in the Midwest.
You may hear it on the news.
600 new jobs.
Or in ads.
Our unemployment rate is consistently below the national average.
Over 45,000 Missouri jobs gone.
Wait a second. Missouri's unemployment is below the national average? And it's down all those jobs?
You can't really look at one particular statistic.
David Mitchell heads the Missouri Bureau of Economic Research at Missouri State University. His analysis of the Show Me State's economy
It's doing very poorly.
doesn't look good for Missouri.
You're seeing the unemployment rate fall, but you're seeing the unemployment rate fall not because there's a whole bunch of jobs out there being created, and it's certainly not because economic growth is occurring, right? Economic growth is zero. But it's falling because people are giving up and looking for work.
Campaigns also use the stats to attack opponents. We asked Mitchell how much credit or blame voters could give Missouri Governor Jay Nixon.
I don't think he's done any policies that have really thrown things into the wrench. I'm not sure I'd give him credit for anything either.
Mitchell says the key to getting the facts straight is slowing down and taking the time to do a little research and add some perspective.
And we're here, too, at your election headquarters to help you sort out the facts from falsehoods. To take a look at the ads we showed you in our story, you can visit our website, ozarksfirst.com.
Polling places will open in just about 9 hours, bright and early, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Kevin Schwaller joins us with what you can expect, including a possible scam. Kevin, what's going on?
The Taney County Clerk says she has credible reports of a call that seems to be trying to keep voters from casting their ballots.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
That's what we heard when we dialed the number for possible scammers.
The message that's being told to our voters is that their polling place location has changed to a Highway 17.
Taney County Clerk Donna Neely spoke to us on the phone.
Not only have we not changed any polling places since last election, but there are no polling places on Highway 17.
She and the Secretary of State are urging caution.
I'm calling to remind hanging flyers door to door.
Here, callers on the Republican side are encouraging potential voters to vote.
Why do I do this? Because I have 8 children. I expect to have a lot of grandchildren. I believe in liberty, and I want to save the future for my children and my grandchildren.
I'm a volunteer for Jay Nixon's.
Democrats are also making a flurry of calls.
I voted in every election, maybe but once.
And if you want a similar record, here's what to remember Election Day. Budget time and prepare for lines. Several counties are predicting 70% turnout. Bring an ID, bank statement, or utility bill. Also, don't forget the ballot will likely have 2 sides, and you have to vote at the precinct for your current address.
It's a right, and I think everybody should go out and vote.
To exercise that right, some caution and prep certainly won't hurt.
Now, county clerks also say to go online and read over the ballot, know the issues and candidates before you head out tomorrow. You also want to make sure any changes to address are complete before you go. We have resources to help you figure all this out at our website, ozarksfirst.com.
Kevin, thank you again. Polls open at 6 a.m. in Missouri. They close at 7 p.m. In Arkansas, polls open at 7:30 in the morning, and they are open until 7:30 at night. Also, the Greene County Democrat and Republican parties are offering free rides. If you need a ride, those numbers are there on your screen.
We certainly saw the candidates throw out a number of issues and claims during the most recent debate here in Missouri. Color 10's Kevin Schwaller tonight shows us what happens when those claims face the facts.
We saw a few facts in the last Senate debate that got the candidates and campaigns on the defensive. We're looking into a couple of the big ones, including Senator McCaskill's equal pay claim.
His women's staff make 23.4% less
than the men in his office.
We looked into it. We went through legislative staff salaries in Congressman Aiken's office from 2001 until the end of 2011. We used the same source as both campaigns, Legistorm. We found, on average, women were paid 23.5% less than men over that period. Whether the average is the best measure is another question. Our numbers differed only slightly from McCaskill's, so we believe this claim
23.4% less
is true. Congressman Aiken's district director, Steve Taylor, released this statement after the debate. Reviewing the payroll, as reported by Legistorm for the last quarter, I have determined that per capita female staffers are paid an average of about more than $3,000 per quarter more than male staffers. It may seem contradictory, but this claim is also true. If you look at only the last quarter, women make the exact amount as in that statement more than men. Now to a number Congressman Aiken throws around quite a bit, connecting Senator McCaskill to the president.
And she was his strong right hand, passing legislation, voting with him 98% of the time.
McCaskill challenged that.
That record included confirmations and procedural votes. I don't even agree with my mother 98% of the time.
I said she just voted with him 98% of the time.
A campaign spokesperson says he's referring to numbers from Congressional Quarterly. Now, we couldn't get access to those stats. However, St. Louis CBS affiliate KMOV found the publication reported that McCaskill voted with President Obama 98% of the time in 2010 and 92% last year. So we believe this claim,
voting with him 98% of the time,
is true. Now, McCaskill points to the National Journal's vote rating that puts her in the middle of senators from the most liberal to the least liberal. That is also true.
Your vote next week could affect health care here in Missouri.
You'll be deciding who gets to make the choices about a key part of medical coverage, and the measure could affect how, if, and when insurance exchanges roll out in Missouri. Kevin Schwaller shows us what you'll be voting on come Tuesday.
Proposition E is about those one-stop shop places to find coverage under the health care law, insurance exchanges. Missouri doesn't have one yet, but every state is supposed to by 2014 under the law. Prop E aims to make sure the voters and the legislature make that call, not anyone else, but opponents are pointing out concerns.
Janice Greenwood has high blood pressure. She's been unemployed for about 2 years despite looking for work, and she doesn't have insurance.
We need some help.
So Greenwood comes here to the Kitchen Medical Clinic for care.
I have my utility shut off right now. It's struggling.
The healthcare law calls for insurance exchanges for every state is one way to offer affordable options and access to the uninsured and small business employees. Proposition E would guarantee the power to make decisions about that system to the legislature and voters. The governor or others couldn't make the calls.
And if we're going to implement the provisions of Obamacare, it should be done in the normal process, should be done open and honest.
But Proposition E also raises some what-if questions, such as what happens if the legislature doesn't come up with a plan by deadlines if passed. The federal government is supposed to step in then, but Prop E wouldn't let state employees accept money from Washington without an okay from the State House or the public, and it allows lawsuits against violators. Opponents point out the ballot language doesn't mention that.
It doesn't say anything about, state employees having to figure out whether or not they should follow federal or state law.
With all the political wranglings, the praise and condemnation about the health care law,
Very hard to understand.
it's difficult for Greenwood to figure out what votes best for her health.
The state also faces a November 16th deadline to submit a state-based exchange plan. It's looking less likely that the state will make that. However, that won't stop Missouri from having a state-based exchange in the future if it wants one.
First tonight, the final one-on-one. The two major candidates in Missouri's U.S. Senate race debated tonight.
Our Kevin Schwaller takes us inside the back and forth and back and all about those issues that will affect your families, your schools, and the state.
The debate started off sounding a lot like those campaign commercials we've seen lately. This debate wasn't one dominated, though, by jobs and the economy. The candidates got into education, energy, immigration, and even into scientific research.
Good evening, and welcome to the Clayton Chamber U.S. Senate debate.
Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill and Republican challenger Todd Aiken didn't even let the clock run down in their opening remarks before moving past the niceties.
Congressman Aiken has requested hundreds of earmarks.
Obama and McCaskill have a deep and abiding faith that big government is the solution to every problem.
It set the tone. At times, questions steered the candidates off of the typical talking points.
What will the national press say about Missouri voters if your opponent is elected?
You know, I don't really care.
If only slightly.
I have opposed the failed record and the failed policies which have given us the unemployment.
Aiken and McCaskill's differing ideas about the role of government ran through many arguments, including student loans.
He wants the federal government completely out of education. No more Department of Education, no more school lunch program, and even harder to understand, do away with Pell Grants.
Suggested maybe the school lunch program could be shifted to the state. Now, I don't know whether the lunches taste as good if the state does it as whether the federal government does it, but Claire McCaskill seems to think this is a crisis if you don't have everything done by the federal government.
The conversation also touched on immigration, energy policies, and stem cell research.
Do you support all forms of stem cell research?
I do. Finding cures is an important part of what stem cell research is all about. It gives hope to millions of people in this country.
Yes, I think stem cell research is just phenomenal. There is the embryonic stem cell part, which I don't support.
The candidates took what they started in speeches across the state to the lectern. They tried to force voters to see sharp contrasts in records and ideas.
They're coming down to my
Now, the action spread beyond the stage to the web. Tweets from Todd Aiken's account were coming out on his account through that debate, and we received a barrage of press releases in an effort to back up McCaskill's claims just after the debate wrapped up. The event was sponsored by Clayton Chamber of Commerce, the School District of Clayton, KWMU, the St. Louis Business Journal, and KSDK.